Hey guys, it's me, Joyce, your Career Chief of Staff. I'm here today to share the top 5 tips for a successful job interview. All right, let's get right into it. Tip number 1, first impressions matter. It's really important to make sure that you make a good first impression. One of the first questions that a job interviewer will ask you is, tell me about yourself. And that tell me about yourself question is really not just to hear about you, but to get a sense for who you are, how you communicate, and what that first impression is really going to feel like. Hi, I'm Joyce, your Career Chief of Staff. I spent the last 15 years ascending the ranks of corporate and nonprofit management. I discovered that the key to maximizing your corporate career lies at the intersection of strategic communication, authentic self-awareness, and organizational acumen. I'm here to address the hidden aspects of professional advancement and to empower you to become the CEO of your career. So, tell me about yourself can be broken down into 4 parts. First, you want to establish yourself as a leader in whatever company or industry or function that you're in. Next, you want to tell the interviewer something unique about you. So one fun fact or something unique about you professionally. Then you want to share one career highlight. So this is like the most important thing that you're proud of. And finally, you want to close out by explaining why you're connecting with that interviewer today. So I'll give you an example. Hi, my name is Joyce. I am a career strategist with over 15 years of experience working with early to mid-career professionals. One interesting thing about my career is that it's kind of been in 3 phases and that I've worked in multiple sectors. So government, nonprofit, and corporate. And I've worked in functions such as HR, strategy, and operations. So for me, what makes me unique is that I lead with empathy and I also lead with data-driven decision-making. I'm here today to learn more about the Chief of Staff position at your company and I'm excited to learn more. Okay, so that lasted about a minute. It should probably take a minute to 2 minutes. You don't want to go over that amount of time. And really what you want to show is I'm a leader, I'm interesting, I have things that I'm proud of in my career and that I'm excited to be here to learn more about the position. All right, so that's the first impression. All right, so moving on to point number 2. You want to understand the mission, vision, goals, and values of the company. You can obviously do that by going onto the website, learning more about the company by doing research, seeing some of the articles that they've published, checking the news to see where they might have been featured in any either acquisitions or big moves that the company has actually done. You can also have informational interviews with current employees, leaders in the industry, what they know about the company to get a sense of the mission, vision, goals, and values. So what's the difference between these things? A mission defines the company's core purpose and answers questions like, what does the organization do? Who does it serve? And what value does it bring? The vision describes the long-term aspirations of the company. So where do we see ourselves in the future? What impact do we want to have on the world? The values represent core principles and beliefs that guide the decision-making of the company. So that could be something like, what principles are non-negotiables for us? Or how do we approach work and relationships with our stakeholders? So our clients, our shareholders, our community, our employees, etc. And with regard to goals, you want to understand not only the goals of the organization, but within the specific department and the function and role itself. So that could be, how do the roles and responsibilities and required skill sets fit into the greater context of the company's agenda. All right, so now we're going to move on to point number 3. Point number 3 is that you want to exude confidence. All right, how do we do that? We want to make sure that obviously you're going to understand the company, you're going to share more about who you are, but there's a lot that goes on in the unsaid, right? The nonverbal, the sort of how you appear, how you adjust to questions and kind of curveballs that may be thrown during the interview. All of that is a part of how you exude confidence. So one big thing that you want to make sure you do is get plenty of rest the night before the interview. Make sure that you're waking up that day of the interview as rested and hydrated and ready to go as possible. Next, if you're in a virtual settings, you want to minimize distractions such as lighting issues, any sounds, any miscellaneous items on your desk that you may not need, or on the table or the seat that you're at. Make sure it's comfortable so that you can sit up and make sure that you're smiling. Also, any document that you have, whether it is a piece of paper or a tab on your computer, make sure that's readily available, okay? If you're in person and you're providing paper, physical paper to the interviewer or the panel of interviewers, you want to make sure it's neatly organized, it's ready to be distributed, whether that's a resume, a portfolio, an assignment that you're about to present, or even references. Finally, you want to practice, practice, practice. It really shows when someone practices for an interview. It shows when they've practiced the STAR method, which we're going to talk about next. It shows when they have practiced that elevator pitch, that tell me about yourself. In addition to examples of career highlights, leadership styles, traits, and common questions. So key tip number 4, using the STAR method. So STAR is an acronym that stands for situation, task, action, and result. Okay, so in every example that you provide for the interviewer, you want to use this framework. So here are some common interview questions you might hear. Okay, so describe a time that you've overcame a challenge at work and how did you address it? What is your greatest professional achievement and why? Tell me about a time where you influenced without authority and how you handled it. And finally, describe a situation of conflict within your team and what was the result. So those 4 questions are typical questions you might hear on an interview. And if you use the STAR method, if you stay true to that framework, you will project confidence by sharing action-oriented examples that highlight your strengths, your leadership style, and your decision-making processes. So once again, the STAR method stands for situation, task, action, and result. Okay, we are going to move on to the final tip. Last impressions matter too. So remember first impressions? That tell me about yourself, all of the confidence that you're exuding, you're using the STAR method, the interview's over, and now what? You want to make sure that you have a strong last impression. So how do we do that? Remember, an interview is a two-way street. You can ask questions at the end of the interview as well. Usually at the end of an interview, the interviewer will leave about 5 minutes for you to ask any questions. Here are some simple questions that you can ask that will project your interest, your confidence, and your curiosity about this role. First one is, how do you measure success in this role? This gives the interviewer a sense that you are interested in metrics, data, and being successful in the role. Next, can you describe the culture and interpersonal dynamics of this team? This is going to show the interviewer that you're understanding that interpersonal dynamics within an organization is important, and you're trying to assess how you and your style of leadership and teamwork fit within that culture. Another question you can ask is, what strategic lever does this team or department address within the greater company? Now, this question is going to show your strategic thinking ability. It's going to show your organizational acumen. It's going to show that you're thinking bigger for the team. This is a key skill in strategic leadership. Finally, you want to get a sense for, is this role backfilling a position that already existed, or is this a newly created role? All right, so the interview is over. Within 24 hours, you want to ensure that you send a thank you note to the interviewer via email saying, thank you so much for your time. I've learned a great deal. It was a pleasure sharing more about myself, and share something insightful that you learned from the interview. Okay, so there you have it. 5 key tips to a successful interview. I really hope that this is going to help you ace your next interview. If you have any questions, you can visit us at careerchiefofstaff.com. You can reach out to me by setting time on my calendar for a consultation or a coaching session. I am happy to help. Best of luck.